I guess in the past few years we've had the 3-day in print rule passed. So now basically any amendment or any bill has to sit in print for 3 days. Kind of what are your observation on how that's changed the end of session and kind of moving forward? Do you think that's a good change or not?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because in my experience, the 72-hour rule or the 3-day in print rule was one of the most significant amendments that occurred during my tenure. And it really is one of the most significant amendments that has occurred to the legislature I'd submit in its history. Before, we would get asked by leadership to vote on bills that were hot off the printer. In many cases, they were not on our online systems at all yet. They were not on the computerized system. They were not on the public websites. No lobbyists had read them, or very few lobbyists had read them. No member of the public had read them, and no lawmakers had read them. And we would be handed something to vote on, and it would still be warm from being copied by the copier. And, it's the old joke. I mean, this occurs in the federal Congress as well, where, I believe there was one time where Nancy Pelosi said something like, we need to vote on the bill so we can read it, or something like that. We need to,
Exactly.
And we would get asked to do that, 10 times per session, where it'd be the end of the House of Origin deadline, or the budget bill would be voted on, or it would be the end of session. And we'd be asked to vote on something that was just completely not vetted, except for the 5 or 6 people who had drafted it. The 72-hour rule, of course, changed all that. It requires that a bill be in print and the final amendments be in print 72 hours before being voted on. And so these young whippersnappers in the Assembly and the Senate have it great now, because they can take a deep breath and they can know that they're going to cast a vote on things that really at least some people out there have read, and it's up to them to have actually tried to follow the amendments and taken advantage of the 72-hour rule and made sure that they know that we're voting on. There were budget votes that I remember, like AB 109, that to this day I profoundly regret. This was the Jerry Brown realignment that was put in the budget, I want to say in 2010 or 2011, where, I profoundly regret it. We were not given a chance to read it. We were not given much of a chance to reflect on it at all, at least in final form. The concept had been talked about for years, I grant that. But, I thoroughly, the devil's in the details, and I thoroughly regret that vote. And there's a long list of things like that. So it's much better, I think, for open government that we now have a 72-hour rule in effect.